Yeah. So last night I was at a nightclub in Newark, New Jersey, and my pot dealer she brought her mom with her. And you know how we always like to make mom jokes at each other, men, because we're stupid. Like it's just like your mom this, or I'll become your stepdad, and we insult each other. So my pot dealer she took it seriously, and she's now trying to hook me up with her mom. And like the mom is apparently into it, and it was pretty embarrassing. Like I'm just trying to like hide in the shadows, and I felt like everybody had their cameras on. And
Whoa, 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 hey, we're recording.
what? Ah, crap. Can we edit this in post? Oh man. All right. Welcome to this week's episode of World Championship Cinema. I am your host Anthony St. James, and before we get started, I would like to do some quick house cleaning. Is that the word? Yeah, that's the word we're gonna use. The way this show's gonna be formatted from now on is we're gonna do week one will be we'll discuss the movie with our special guest, and then week two will be with our normal host Rich Ruperto and feedback from you, the audience. So if we miss anything, just leave it in the feedback, leave it on our Facebook or our Instagram or whatever social media we use that I still don't understand, and leave that feedback behind, and we'll talk about it. And I'm sure Rich, he'll like miss all the nerd stuff we missed. And so let's get this episode started. It's Blade Trinity with my guest at this time.
Hey, it's Ernie, Blur Without Fear. Yeah, I'm a YouTube guy, so yeah, there you go, and a comic book guy, so yeah, there you go.
So it's perfect with this podcast of you know movies that have to do with professional wrestling, and on this one it's Blade Trinity with Triple H.
That's right. Triple H, the game, he of multiple championship title wins.
Greatest professional wrestler to ever live.
Oh yeah.
I'm just, So quickly, before we talk about Blade Trinity itself, what does the Blade franchise, the film franchise, mean to you personally?
Well, I can honestly say that Blade, like as far as like the movies go, they kind of popped up at a time when I was actually just discovering who Blade was. Like I was reading comics at the time, but didn't actually know that Blade was a comic book character. It just kind of happened that he was on an episode of the old '90s Spider-Man cartoon, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh wait, there's a movie out about this guy, and I went to go see it, and from that moment forward, I was kind of hooked. But yeah, no, it was just really cool. It was like it was like this awesome character who just take no crap and just beating up the bad guys. Always had great soundtracks and stuff like that. So just it was all in a like it was just a really awesome and just different superhero movie. Like it wasn't like your typical superhero movie, like especially for back then, because they were usually awful.
Yeah, like at the time we were just getting like just nonstop Batman ripoffs. Like the Phantom, and we got the Phantom, we got the Shadow. Yeah. All these movies are just terrible, and just like I don't even think they're aimed for kids, because like kids don't care about these characters. But yeah, Blade, the first one, when I saw that movie in the cinema, it was just I had to see it at least like 5 more times. It was just like completely like unexpectedly awesome.
Oh yeah, well it had everything that I wanted. It had had a really cool, you had a really cool protagonist. It had vampires. It had crazy like fight scenes and just everything, and just the overall look of the film itself was just, I don't know, it was just different. You didn't really see a lot of movies exactly like that one, and I guess you could kind of say like it kind of kicked off a trend of movies like that. It's kind of like where you get like your Underworld and so on and so forth. Some movies that kind of came out after. I mean, you also had like the as well, but like I feel like some of those movies also kind of borrowed Blade, at least they were supernatural.
Yeah, because like they came out before the Matrix, right? Cause
I think the first one, I believe it did.
Yeah, sorry,
I think it did.
I have
yeah.
no Andor space.
Yeah. Well, it's like I was sitting here thinking about. I was like, yeah, because like I think The Matrix. It was 1999. The original Blade. Yeah, it actually came out a full year before. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So the first movie I loved, second movie I loved. This movie I wanted to, but still, was just something way off.
um, I tell you what, it's the problem with Blade Trinity, like right out of the gate, is that the movie had a lot of like behind the scenes problems. I often tell people like if you actually look up the like what was going on behind the scenes with like Wesley Snipes and the director David S. Goyer, what was going on between them and how it affected the rest of the cast and crew.
Yeah,
That story is more interesting and more entertaining than anything that is in Blade Trinity itself. Like I've even heard Triple H, like I think he was on like Howard Stern or somebody else's show or something like that, and he was actually talking about what it was like to work with Wesley Snipes and oh man, I'm blanking on the guy's name, but there was another one too.
Patton Oswalt is the one that I've heard the stories from.
Oh yeah, it was really just a full on, full blown, just hot mess. But yeah, like Natasha Lyonne, I've heard her say some things about it.
She's the blonde chick, right?
Yeah, probably more recently than anything else. And Patton Oswalt, he was the one. He kind of cut a promo on how crazy it was to work on that movie with Wesley Snipes. Like it's weird. It had all these crazy, like amazingly talented people in it. It was like, and they could not make it work.
Yeah, because like it had a lot of the concepts ready. Like like all right, let's toss in Dracula. All right, sure, why not? We toss in the vampires framing Blade and having the FBI after him. I don't know. That's just everything you want, and for some reason, just don't. Do you remember? I only watched like the first 2 seasons of Family Guy, so do you remember the episode of Family Guy where Meg briefly dated the nerd, like the?
Yes.
Like
yes.
he had like a science project where he was showing a video of, is this William Shatner or is this a stuntman?
Oh yeah.
So I feel like we should give this the homework to our listeners of trying to figure out, when you watch this movie, if you ever watch this movie again, try to figure out, is that Wesley Snipes or is that a stand-in? And like this, I figured that'll make the movie a lot more fun, having a little game, playing a game with it.
Yeah, that actually, I think that would probably be the best usage of your time. Like if you were watching this movie, trying to figure that out, because I remember hearing Wesley Snipes, because of the beef that was going on between him and David S. Goyer. He would not show up to set sometimes, and would leave notes back and forth. Like, and he always wanted to be called Blade when he was on set. Like, he didn't want to be called Wesley. He didn't want to be called Mr. Snipes. He wanted to be referred to at all times as Blade. It was like he was method acting, but it almost seemed way too seriously.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, but I don't know. I can't say anything bad about Wesley Snipes. Later at the end of this episode, I'll tell a story about him and him as my pal.
Yeah.
So what are you, before we keep going, what is your opinion on Triple H the wrestler?
Triple H, it's really weird. Triple H, it's kind of funny because when I was a kid, like I remember when I didn't really know about him back during UCW days, but like when he was back in what was then like the WWF, that was when I kind of first caught wind of him. And I remember even as a little kid, I was like, man, this guy is gonna go places. I like this guy. I love this guy. He's such a he was like I love to hate him, and I remember all my friends laughing at me saying, "Oh, dude, he's never gonna be anything. He's a guy that does the little curtsy thing. Like, what's that all about?"
Yeah.
And sure enough, you fast forward, many moons later, and he's like, he becomes the biggest name in the company. And literally is like, a powerhouse figure behind the scenes. And I used to hate the way he would kind of like always seem to be inserted into stuff. like when he was kind of at like I guess the height of his time as a wrestler.
Yeah.
Like I actually kind of softened on it a little bit, and like because he does a lot more for like I guess the younger and newer talent that comes into WWE. So like it's kind of almost like all the stuff that people like usually say bad about Triple H. I feel like he's kind of made up for it by trying to help the people that are coming in today.
Yeah.
So like my attitude towards him, like that, and like what he does like for NXT and everything, and how he tries to like like he tries to take these people that come from the indies and try and build them up, into like I guess like what people I guess would call like the guy, trying to give them a chance on like a bigger stage. I think that's really cool. So like there's a weird dark period for him that I still kind of like, ugh, man, don't like it. But everything else today, I'm like, hey, he's a good guy. He tries.
he's grown up. Yeah, I mean, I've always been a fan of him. The only beef I've ever had with Triple H was when he defeated Booker T at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Like I didn't mind like if you're gonna have the heel win, but he hit Booker T with the pedigree, and he should have pinned him immediately.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, he hit him with one pedigree, and it took him like an hour and a half to get to the cover. and like he just put his hand over him. Like that's a terrible finish. But the rest,
yeah. That's really the only bad thing. Like I really like. I'm just like, oh god, man, it's like that. Because he literally waited till like the Raw the day after the pay-per-view to decide to pin him.
Yeah, exactly. The Raw
like,
after.
Well, he's still out. But yeah, other than that, I think Triple H is fine. Yeah, I just have to remember that part of time, because that whole entire feud was problematic for a ton of different reasons. But the way it was finished was just Oh man, but I will say this. About Triple H as far as Blade itself goes. Triple H is an amazing wrestler. The guy is a great promo. He's great on the mic. I mean, he can make you believe that he's as good as he wants you to believe he is. And I mean, he's got charisma. He can, I mean, the guy can literally. He's even kind of a great comedian. Like, he's got really good comedic timing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But as an actor though, because always people say, when you're a wrestler, you're an actor. That's what you do. You're portraying a character, and it's like he's really good at portraying his character. I don't think he's very good at portraying whatever it is he is supposed to be in Blade Trinity.
Blade Trinity, he cracks up. He's like a giant man, but he's also like a huge coward.
Yeah, just a lot.
He's like the head muscle, but he's also like he's always running away from like what's her name? He runs away from Whistler's daughter.
Abigail.
Yeah.
Yeah, Abigail Whistler. Yeah, just oh god.
I find the concept of that character problematic. Abigail Whistler. It's like, all right, Whistler.
Yeah.
His family was killed, so he spent his entire life hunting vampires. You figure it's like, oh, I have a long lost daughter. Sorry, Blade. I should spend time with her instead for a little bit. But instead, he's just like, oh yeah, long lost daughter. Send her away to be a vampire hunter, and I'll keep hanging out with you, Blade. Completely neglecting the daughter that I just discovered.
Yeah, that really all of the with Abigail, who's Jessica Biel, Ryan Reynolds, of course he's into as Hannibal King. All of them are very misused, because you can very easily tell that in this movie they were trying to set up another franchise.
Yep.
And so that's why you actually spend it's. I think some people don't catch it the first time they watch it, but when you watch this movie, you will realize at some point this movie is not about Blade at all.
Yeah.
Like, Blade is there, but the focus is on Abigail and Hannibal King.
So I'm guessing that's why it's called Trinity, now that I think about it.
Yeah. Well, it was like because what they wanted. They I remember reading an interview. Goyer said the plan was to make a Night Stalkers movie with Jessica Biel and Ryan Reynolds as the stars of that, and then you still have Blade movies, but
So
yeah, whatever.
they're going for an extended universe already.
Yeah. Like, yeah, we got to make our cinematic universe. We got to make everything. It's got to be connected.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
It's funny, like speaking of Ryan Reynolds, like if you think like do you think like would this movie like age like better in reverse knowing how he is? Like if you watch it now, you like in your head eliminate Hannibal King and put in Wade Wilson.
Yeah.
'Cause that's pretty much what he's doing.
Well, because if I'm not mistaken, this movie came out in 2004, which was like a good few years ahead of X-Men Origins Wolverine, where he first played Deadpool. And I feel like that was his audition tape. I feel like him being Hannibal King, because he was constantly. The thing is, when he was Deadpool, though, I felt like the quips were better.
Oh yeah.
Versus this movie where he's almost borderline annoying.
No, I think he's past it. For me, he was past it.
like he's a quip a minute. Like every scene he's doing like business. Like he's doing like shenanigans and stuff, and I'm like please stop.
It's just like we need a little bit of seriousness to sell like the threat of this movie, and I feel like that's another problem with this movie. I feel like there's no real threat. Like, what did Dracula do? He killed some goth kids. He killed the nerdy lawyer, and then he killed some blind lady, and that's it.
I mean, the most devastating thing he really if you want to talk about like the most dastardly thing that he does, the most dastardly thing he does is he steals a baby.
Yeah.
Like he kidnaps a baby, whom he doesn't kill the baby. He endangers the child. I take that back. He kidnaps two different children in this movie. One being like an infant, and the other being like a maybe 8 to 10-year-old girl. But like at no point are they ever in any real danger, because you can pretty much tell that he's not going to kill the infant. Like it becomes pretty obvious he's not going to kill the infant. Like the second that he does it. Yeah. Like he just uses the infant as a distraction.
Yeah,
and he's chit-chatting with the kid. This is stupid. It's like they try to humanize him towards the end and be like, oh, he's actually not a bad guy.
He just happened to be born this way. But yeah, like I was like, that was such a like it was like, all right, they have Dracula here, I guess. All right, let's see what they do with it. And that's what he did. He killed some goth kids at a Hot Topic.
Yeah, it was literally a Hot Topic. It may as well have been a Hot Topic. If it wasn't a Hot Topic, it should have been. What did you think about God, I'm blanking on her name. Danica. Because she's not very memorable, which sucks. But the character that
Parker Posey. Yeah. Oh, I love Parker Posey, so she could have done the dirt worst, and I would still give her 2 thumbs up. So it's a completely biased opinion on Parker Posey. It's like, oh man.
Well, you're not alone. You're not alone there. Actually, I really love Parker Posey. I've loved her in just about everything she's ever been in. I just feel like she was wasted.
Oh yeah.
I feel like she was wasted here. Like she had nothing to do. She was just there to. She was just there to be. Basically, she was there to be Parker Posey, but with like vampire
fangs. Yeah.
They're like, just do your normal thing. Just whatever. Yeah. Just no motivation. Just be you.
Yeah. Don't worry about it.
Because I remember when this movie was announced and she was and word got out that she was going to be in it. I got excited. I was legitimately excited for it. I was like, oh, she'll be like I was like, dude, she'll probably be like a better version of Deacon, whatever.
Yeah.
And there you go, nothing. They literally just wasted her in this movie. Like they could have really put any here and did the exact same thing. That she got the work. I'm always glad that she got the work.
Yeah. As long as we got to see her, I'm happy. Yeah.
Mm.
Let's see
But
what.
what about have you ever have you ever noticed the layout of how they set this movie up? How pretty much you get the narration at the very beginning and at the very end of this movie.
By Ryan Reynolds.
It's this Ryan Reynolds. It's all Ryan Reynolds. Like Blade is just there, probably because he wouldn't show up to set.
They're like, we need you to do some ADR. He's like, nah, we're good.
No, I'm not doing. No, we're not doing that. I got other stuff. I got vampires. I got Daywalker stuff to do.
I gotta meditate.
But, and like the whole thing, like with like the whole thing with like Hannibal King, like the way they set him up, like you almost feel like I feel like for as serious as he is in like the opening promo, the closing out promo,
yeah,
you would think that Hannibal King should actually be a more serious character. Like he shouldn't be very comedic. Like because I think at the time Ryan Reynolds wasn't as big of a name. So like most people did know him for comedy, but like for a minute I was kind of like, oh, he's gonna be serious. This is gonna be a big thing. Hannibal King is like he's kind of, I mean, not the biggest deal from the comics, but he's like not anything like the character that is in this movie.
Yeah, in the comic book he's really serious. He's like, no joke.
Oh no, he's serious as a heart attack. The guy is like, he's 1,000%, just
business,
dead serious. All like his business. Killing vampires is business as usual, and I don't know, like I don't know, it just felt weird to me. Like I don't know, like I still can't get past the choices that were made from Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, I was expecting, like all right, I'm expecting a few jokes here and there, but to be honest, this is actually the first time I've seen this movie since the cinema.
Mm.
So I was like, all right, seen it in the cinema. I'm like, part 1 and 2 I loved. Part 3 kind of broke my heart. We're not revisiting this, and then I was like, podcast. We gotta revisit this for the podcast.
Well, I actually can say that Blade Trinity is the only Blade movie up until today, the only Blade movie I'd only seen once.
Yeah, so yeah, same here. So we're literally both on the same boat.
Yeah, it was literally the only one I had seen once. And the thing is, everything they did, like the way they set up the plot of the movie, it all should have worked because it's all stuff that I've thought before. Like, has Blade ever accidentally killed like a regular person?
Yeah, that's right.
Like I actually was thinking about it. I was like, cause he kind of like he's always like firing off stakes willy nilly, and especially in this movie, when you start off, I mean, he's literally like coming out and just taking guys out left and right, and it's like, dude, like I know he's really good at being able to tell like vampires and familiars and like normal humans, but like then he ends up killing a dude that's like a regular guy. I mean, granted he's a familiar, but
big teeth.
Yeah, I just thought it was funny that like this was they finally thought to do it here to set him like, oh, let's get him mixed up with the cops, and I was like, oh, this is where it's going. Maybe we got something here, and it's like, no, not really.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like when I first started rewatching this, I'm like, how is this not a bad movie? Like everything at the beginning is really good. I'm like enjoying them, and after all, so it's just like hitting me in the back of that, like, no, this is bad. Why is this bad? But
it's the promise of something good.
Yeah. And one thing, like a side note that I found problematic was, Whistler died again. Did he die in all 3 movies? Because I feel like he's died in all 3 movies. I haven't seen part 2 in a while.
I think just the first and the third one. Okay. Like the second one, they bring him back, but like he gets the crap kicked out of him. I think they try and make you think that he dies in the second one. Like they kind of play a little bait and switch with you, but like I just thought it was weird too that like they were just gunning down cops too. Like
that's what I was alluding to. Yeah, like when since that scene, there was no vampires at all. It was all like cops, not even bad guys, not even heels, not even villains. There was cops they were killing. He was like, yeah, I'm just gonna be shotgun, just shooting innocent officers doing their job. And it's like, how is this not problematic?